before I start though, there is definitely one thing I really want to talk about, and that's awesome, Jimmy. I'm glad to hear you said that. Okay, so the other thing that I want to talk about here though, however, is a little bit about a question that Kill a Whale came into the chat with. Showbiz asked, what's your general game plan with Cammy? I'll get to that in a second. I want to address Kill a Whale's question. He actually said that he has problem dealing with pressure. When people get in on him and then they start pressuring, it's just combo after combo, and it's just, things just don't work, and he gets rushed down and he gets destroyed. And I really want to talk about this. So I have a video out there, Kill a Whale. It's First Attack episode 5.3, I believe. And 5.3 is all about frame data and understanding frame data. I really recommend that you go and take a look at that, because that is a very valuable video in terms of frame data and understanding how to get out of these situations. But to summarize here really quickly, the thing about it is that you really have to understand frame data in this game, and it's one of the toughest things about Street Fighter V, is that if you don't understand frame data, you get blown up. Frame data is not built into this game, there's nowhere you can see it in the game, so that adds to that frustration and adds to that weird thing that, yes, you have to learn this, but you have no ability to learn it in the game. It's all outside resources that teach you these kind of things. So really what you have to understand about pressure is understanding your move versus their move. Your turn versus their turn. Street Fighter V is very much about taking turns, right? So if I do an attack, like let's say I do this move here with Cammy, I'm taking my turn and I'm doing pressure on you. However, this move is -2 on block. So if the opponent blocks it, I'm -2, which means you can act 2 frames before me, which means it's your turn now. Anytime you have a turn advantage, basically, like think of it, you get 2 free turns before the opponent does, and each frame is a turn. So if I'm -2, you have a 2 turn advantage over me. So after you block this move, it's your turn. So let's do this. Let's do this really quick. I'll show you really quick here. I'll record guard recovery actions, and I'll record Laura with her evil 3 frame standing light punch, right? So that's a 3 frame move right there. That's a 3 frame move from Laura. However, Cammy's crouching light punch is also 3 frames, right? So technically, if we both hit, if Laura hit her stand jab at the same time, at the exact same time that I hit my crouch jab, we should trade, because they're both 3 frame moves. However, because after knee bullet, I'm -2, she has 2 turns before I can move. So if I mash on crouching light punch afterwards, since she's moving 2 frames before me, boom, I can't do anything. And in fact, if I get my jab out, she gets to counter hit me. You see the counter hit on the right side of the screen. That's because she has 2 frames advantage ahead of me. So what you have to understand is what moves are their turn and what moves are your turn. Let's give another example. Cammy standing medium punch. This move is +3 on block, which is ridiculous. It's so good. It's like one of the best pressure tools in the game. So if I do this and then crouch light punch, you can see I can actually true block string it. If I do it at perfect timing, it's actually a true block string, because I have that much of an advantage. But if I delay it just a little bit, I will counter your poke, because since it's +3, I have 3 extra turns before you can move. I can actually get my jab out before you. More even devastatingly is that this is a 5 frame move. This is a 5 frame move. Because I have 3 extra turns ahead of you, and it takes 5 turns for this move to come out, that means three of those 5 turns are used up while you're stuck in block stun. So now if I make you block this and do crouch medium punch, I will always leave you a slight hole that you can hit a button and you will get counter hit. And if I counter hit you, I get big old damage off of you because you're hitting buttons in the middle of my string. So when the opponent is pressuring you and you're scared and you're hitting buttons like this, I can, oops, that's supposed to combo. There you go. I can actually punish you for hitting buttons. However, if you see me do, for example, crouching medium kick, I'm negative on that one, so that way it's your turn. So basically what you start to find out is, how do you recognize your turn versus their turn? One, you have to know the frame data. You have to know the frame data. If you don't know the frame data, this is how you test it. I'm going to find out if standing fierce is my turn or their turn. I'm going to standing fierce, try to crouching light punch. It's obviously their turn. I'm going to do crouching medium punch. My turn, because my jab won. I'm going to do standing roundhouse. Well, I'm too far away to test it, really, but you'll find out that it's their turn. I'm going to do back medium punch. Whoops. My turn. Back medium punch is my turn. I'm going to do standing medium kick. Ooh, actually, that's a little deceiving, though, because one of the things I want you to notice is that Laura did not get counter hit. There's no counter hit indication here, which actually means it's not my turn. It's actually her turn. I'm hitting her just because after this, see, she can't reach me anymore. So it's really hard to test in this kind of situation. But, you know, in general, for like a lot of close-up moves, you can test it using this method here. There is going to be some distance, and I did want to talk about that too. Distance also determines your turn or not. If you block the standing medium kick from this far away, we're so far away from each other that it's really nobody's turn now. It's everybody's turn. So a lot of times, you find that you can actually start getting away from the offense once the enemy pushes themselves out far enough. Now, this is where the mind games of Street Fighter comes in. I'm talking about these turns and everything like that. If you block this, it's my turn, right? Because I can hit you like this. If you block this, it's your turn because you can hit me. The tricky part of Street Fighter basically comes down to stealing turns. Stealing turns pretty much is the essence of Street Fighter V. So if you actually try to hit light punch, which is your fastest move after you block this move, and I can counter hit you like so, what's going to happen? You're going to be scared to touch a button, right? You're going to be scared and you're going to be like, you know what? I'm not going to hit a button because I know it's not my turn. So if I know you're not going to hit a button and I do this, I push myself at a range where all of a sudden now you can try to counter poke, because we're far away enough that all my fastest moves don't hit you anymore, right? So if you block this and this, I'm at a range where I can't take advantage of anything anymore. I have to use slower moves like this, and you can counter that. So what happens in Street Fighter V is you try to start stealing turns. So if I make you block this, and I know you're not going to hit any buttons because you know it's my turn, what I'm going to do is this. Hey, guess what? That distance that I get pushed out, I cleared that distance by walking forward, and I put you into that same mix-up now. Look at that. So now you have to deal with the same mix-up, and if you keep blocking, I'm just going to keep doing this all day, and look at how much gray health I'm building up on you, and then I throw you and you lose all this life, and it's all gone. There goes all your life, right? So what happens in this Street Fighter is about stealing turns. So the thing about it is, the main thing that I really want to emphasize here is that the way to get out of pressure has absolutely nothing to do with, hey, here's this good strategy on how to escape pressure. You know how you escape pressure in this game? And this is the worst answer possible, is you just have to be good. You have to be good at the defense, right? You have to be good at the defense. But it's not just an inherent feel thing. It's not like, I am one with the game, I know defense. Like, it's not like that. It's scientific. You understand that after this move, it's their turn, so you don't hit a button. But if you detect that your opponent like starts to walk forward, as soon as you see them walk forward, you can hit your 3-frame jab to try to counter them. Now, they could try to stagger their walk forward just a tiny bit to beat that, but that's where the mind games comes in. So really, the concept of defense in Street Fighter is do not mash buttons, do not mash buttons. Even though I hit buttons a lot, you'll see that. I'll get counter hit a lot. That's just my habit. Certain people are prone to button pressing, certain people are not. Basically what happens is you have to understand that your defense succeeds when you see them do a move that gives you your turn and you counter poke, or you let them push themselves out far enough that now all of a sudden you have freedom to move. But if you block a move that's my turn, you have to be nervous. You have to be on guard. You have to be ready. And that's the trick. This move is plus. 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 Why is Cammy such a good character? I just showed you right there. Everything is her turn. So if you see Cammy and she's doing this is hella scary. And you have to deal with this, and you have to wait until the point where the Cammy is so nervous that they push themselves out, and all of a sudden you have the ability to hit, right? However, if they take advantage of that and you block this and they know you're not going to hit a button, then they come and throw you. Now, a lot of times in this game, getting thrown is way better than getting hit, okay? So let me do this here. Let's say you block this, and then you try to hit a button. So, oh, I'm sorry. First attack only. If I do this, I am going to do all this damage to you. I'm going to do a bunch of damage to you. 194 damage to you, and I'm taking you into the corner. And after the drill, so if I do this, hey, guess what? I'm in your face still. So I just did almost 200 damage to you. I took you so close to the corner, and I'm right in your face. If you choose to take the throw in the middle of the screen, I do 120 damage, and look where you are. You're way over there when you get up. You're up now. And look at the distance that I am away from you. I cannot apply pressure anymore. So a lot of times it's better to take the throws in the middle of the screen against most of the characters, right? Most of the characters you want to take the throw. In the corner it becomes a problem because now Cammy can come over here and do quote throw loops on you like this, right? And then that becomes the pressure. But now, herein lies the reason why you hear commentators talk about why the corner is so bad, why you don't want to get in the corner, and why corner carry is so important. Because once you get in the corner, you have no room to go back, and you are at the mercy of your opponent. So a lot of times playing Street Fighter is battle for the corner. And once you get into the corner, your whole goal now is to figure out how to get out of the corner by surprise jumping over them, or something like that, right? So that's the whole point, is once you actually get into the corner, yeah, time to get nervous. And the problem is, once you're in the corner, the throw or the frame trap or the shimmy is a real mix-up. And there is no solution for that because it's a mix-up. If there was one way to get out of all three of those situations, it's not a mix-up. It's a horrible option. You would do that every time, but it's a true mix-up. So at that point in time, it becomes about reading what your opponent wants to do. Don't guess. Don't get to the point where you're like, you know what? I'm just going to, this time I'm going to try this. This time I'm going to try this. That's not what you want to do. At this point in time, this is where it starts becoming very important that you want to read what your opponent is doing and what your opponent is thinking. If you have a very aggressive buttonsy opponent, block more often than hitting buttons. If you go back and watch Central California Standoff that took place this past weekend, watch BJ Unchained versus Chris G. Chris G got a read on BJ Unchained that BJ was very scared to go for command throws. Most of the time, BJ Unchained won was because he finally went to the command throw. But there were times where BJ Unchained walked up with Nakali and did knee, 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 and then Chris G found his way out, right? Because he had the read on BJ Unchained that BJ Unchained wasn't going to go for the throw. Chris G literally blocked like 5 knees in a row at one point in time and then found his counter poke. And that's the thing, right? Getting away from this kind of pressure has very little to do with hitting buttons. It's really just knowing the situation and understanding what it is that you're supposed to do. Different characters have different abilities. Cammy is one of the scariest ones, as I pointed out to you. She's plus on everything, and her standing light kick doesn't push her out of throw ranges, so it's super scary to deal with this move. So blocking light kick into throw or having her make you block light kick and then hitting you low is such a scary thing to deal with. But therein lies why Cammy is like top 2 in this game. That's why she's one of the best characters, because her up close pressure is just stupid good. It's ridiculously good. So that's kind of the thing, right? There's really no one set answer on how to get out of the corner pressure situation or just up close pressure. It's really about understanding your opponent and knowing when it is try to safe and counter poke. Like a lot of times I'll block a move and then I'll counter with a jab, but that's only because what I'm doing is I'm delaying my jab a slight bit. So what I'm doing is I'm not hitting jab right away so that I can get caught by the knees. I wait half a second and then I jab. Because if they attack right away, I'll block it. But then if they try to put a hole in and take a step forward, I'll jab them. So there's little things like that that you can learn. Don't like jab, don't mash the jab. Like delay your jab by like 2 or 3 frames or something, which is easier said than done at a beginner level. But there are tactics that can help you get out of it. But the one important thing to realize is that if your opponent, if there is literally a chance that you play rock, paper, scissors with your opponent and he wins 10 games in a row. That just happens. And if that happens and you get bodied like that, all you can do is stand up and applaud your opponent and go, you know what, you read me like a book, and go to the next round and try it differently. But if you get beat up by that and you think to yourself, there's nothing I can do, how does this work? This is like impossible to escape. Then you're gonna spiral down the path where you're gonna mash buttons in that situation because you don't understand the turn concept, you don't understand the distance concept, and it's gonna hurt you that way. That's where the panic ensues. The one biggest advice on this corner pressure, when they get you into this corner pressure and you're blocking a lot, the best advice that you can give to anyone that will help you 100% of the situations, keep calm. Keep calm. Do not panic. Getting pressured on your wake up is Street Fighter V. It is Street Fighter V. So it's gonna happen. And it's gonna happen all the time. And it's gonna happen over and over and over again. And once you get good at it, you're gonna start doing it to the opponent. Happens all the time. So once you're in that situation, it's nothing to panic over, because it should be a situation that you're accustomed to. You should be used to it because you're dealing with it constantly. So that's basically my advice. Keep calm and just be very cognizant of what your opponent is doing. And then download either FAT, which is Frame Assistant Tool, or download FDV, which is Frame Data V, on your phone and study the frame data. And also go to youtube.com/UltraChenTV, look up First Attack episode 5.3, all about frame data. And that's like a 2-hour video of like me talking about how to process and understand frame data and stuff like that. So, how do I anti-air though? Great question, Bainstar. Great question. I'm not very good at that myself, but the concept of anti-airing, the reason why anti-airing is hard is because footsies is hard. Footsies is not about whiff punishing. Footsies is about 3 parts of it. Whiff punishing is only one of those 3. Whiff punishing is about footsies is about poking, moving forward, and then whiff punishing. It's those 3. That's the rock, paper, scissors of footsies. Once you start learning that and you start concentrating on that and you get really good at footsies, your brain is like focused so much on footsies that when the opponent jumps on you, you're just not ready for it, and you can't anti-air. So really the key to anti-airing is knowing how to take 100% of your brain, dedicating 75-80% of it to footsies, and then leaving the rest of it to focus on anti-air. And that's a really hard thing to do. That's multitasking your brain, and it's very, very, very hard to do. And jumps are fast in this game, for sure. Jumps are fast in this game, and it's really tough to deal with it in this situation. But that's basically anti-air. And to answer Showbiz's question early on, what's the game plan with Cammy? The game plan with Cammy is this. That's your game plan with Cammy. This is the game plan with Cammy right here. Is you want to be right here. You want to be right here, and you want them to be on the ground. You want them to be on the ground, and you want them to have to deal with this. This is your game plan with Cammy. And so the question is, how do you do that? Well, you have to play really solid footsies, because that's where Cammy excels, right? She has this great standing medium kick poke that can get people scared to hit buttons. She's got this great fierce that can whiff OS people. She's got a good crouching medium kick that can hit people from far away and catch them while they're standing. And she has one of the fastest dashes in the game, or at least it's just really hard to see coming, because she's doing stuff like this and you're scared and now she's in your face. The other thing that she has is that, the dive kick. So at this range right here where I can dash up and attack you, at this same range I can jump up and dive kick if I'm good. And I get pressure in there because at that range I'm hitting you at the shins and I'm plus. It's my turn. If I hit you up here, you can counter poke. You can actually counter poke Cammy and you'll win. But if I hit you on the shins, like so, now I'm in. So that's the whole goal of Cammy. Get here and kill your opponent. Get them scared, because she has so many things that are plus, and that's like the whole entire game plan. So it's interesting when you watch me play Cammy. Obviously this changes depending on the character, because there's some characters who are really good up close that you kind of want to zone yourself. But that also again depends on the player. Like if I play against the Balrog, I'll zone them until I get a combo into a drill, and then I go into that mix-up. But if I have a character that I can kind of bully around in footsies, then I will bully them in footsies and then use my dash speed or use my dive kick and get in, and all of a sudden I can start applying the pressure. So that's generally the strategy of it. Killer Whale says, thank you so much. No one has explained in much detail. Fighting games are not easy for beginners. But I truly... oh, okay. Sorry, I thought that was a follow-up question. No, okay. Learning frame data takes time and patience. Yeah. So, okay. So, Killer Whale, I will tell you one thing. So, definitely, please... well, one... thank you so much, and you know, like, that's the goal, right? And yes, you are right, fighting games are hard to learn, and I don't want anyone to ever tell you that fighting games are easy. If anyone ever tells you that fighting games are easy, they're liars, okay? They're 100% lying, because fighting games are hard to play, and that's one thing I want to get across, because that way, when you're having trouble, when you're struggling with it, you don't feel bad, because yeah, fighting games are hard, they're hard. I've been playing fighting games for 20 years, and like, I'm barely learning some of these things myself right now, you know, just because teaching, commentating, learning, and just, you know, it's taken me 20 plus years to get to where I am about all this game knowledge. So fighting games are very, very, very hard. But definitely watch that 5.3 episode of First Attack, the frame data stuff, because one of the things that I talk about is how to interpret frame data. And when you look at frame data and you see all these numbers, it's super intimidating. But really, there's only a few categories that you really need to know, that you just want to put moves in that category. So I'm sitting here saying this is +3, and so you're like, okay, gotta remember that's +3. This is +2 or whatever it is, and you're like, okay, I gotta remember this is +2. But see, I don't even know what it is. I don't even know if it's +2 or +1, because you know what? I don't care. All I know is her turn. That's all I care about. Her turn. Her turn. My turn, her turn, her turn. That's all I care about. There's only so many categories you need to know, and you don't need to memorize all the numbers. So this is -2, but who cares? It could be -2, it could be -1. Doesn't matter, it's her turn. I mean, it's your turn now after you block it. I don't care if it's -1 or -2. All I know is that it's my turn now. So you just need to memorize things into those categories. So once you look at the frame data charts, you look at the on block numbers, all you have to do is memorize whether it's your turn, their turn, or even, or punishable. That's the other main one, right? So if I do this, this is punishable. You can actually punish that on block. And those are the things to understand. If you just put the moves in those categories and don't worry about the number, that's really 99% of where you need to get to with frame data when it comes to this your turn, their turn kind of concept. That's like one of the most important things. So, dude, 9 years, yeah, trust me. Like I said, the people who say fighting games are easy, just they got it right away, or they've been playing for 20 years, right? And honestly, the FPS, all the games, like I said, are always really intuitive, because FPS, you're seeing it from your point of view. As a human, you will duck behind things and shoot, you know, and stuff like that. And every game is about hitting buttons. Street Fighter is about not hitting buttons. Street Fighter is about knowing exactly when you want to hit buttons. The more buttons you hit, the worse you are at fighting games. And if you're hitting a button If you watch your own replays and you see yourself walking around and you do this, if you ever hit a button and you're watching your replay and you ask yourself, why did I hit that button? What was the point that I hit that button? What was the reason why I hit that button? Then you're doing something wrong, because 100% of your button presses should serve a purpose. Even when I'm walking around and doing this is serving a purpose to make it look like I'm doing something. But I'm doing that with the fastest button that I have. So even though I'm walking around hitting buttons like this, I'm doing this to fake you out, to think I'm gonna try to do something. So I'll jab, you'll see a button, you might think it's this button, a jab, and then I use it to dash forward. You know, every button you press should have a purpose. And once you start getting to that level, that's where you start understanding how fighting games work and how fighting games play. So that's one of the trick. Play Dope says, can you show me how to body some fools? Yeah, please check out the latest Kraus Counter episode. I had super fun doing that, dude. Super, super, super fun. What characters are more aggro in this game? Or is aggro a playstyle and not a character trait? Definitely a character trait. Aggressive characters, actually in this game, is the majority of the cast. Because zoning is not very good. There's a lot of offensive characters. Most of them are pretty aggro. Balrog is pretty aggro. Cammy is very aggro. You know, Laura, once she gets in on you, is very aggro. Most of this game is about that. It's like this. I need to play neutral. I need to figure out how to knock you down, and now I can go aggro. Like, that's like all the characters in this game. So there's definitely different extents of aggro. Urian and Birdie, for example, are more defensive. But once they knock you down, they can kill you. But they definitely play a more defensive footsie kind of game. And then they can beat you up once they knock you down. Whereas Cammy is more aggressive, Balrog is more aggressive, Guile is a little more defensive, Dulcim is a little more defensive, you know. So it really depends on the character a lot of ways. A lot of ways. So, yes. Showbiz is right. Street Fighter V doesn't have the game systems, doesn't have all the craziness that a game like Guilty Gear has. But it teaches you so much about fundamentals, spacing, and footsies that it helps a lot. Now, not all of that applies over to other fighting games, but it's definitely a helpful thing. But I've babbled on long enough. I think people want to watch me play. I've babbled for about 30 minutes. I'll probably turn this segment here into a FGC soapbox rant to put up on Twitter, on YouTube. And then I'll cut that part out and I'll just start from here on the YouTube videos.